because it's like breakup, right? Once you break up, you don't rebound immediately. You'll do the same mistake. you want to take a bit of time and think what went wrong or how I should be better. This startup is a lot of drama, which means it is high emotion, right? Because when things move this fast, friction is bound to happen. And so if there is lots of friction, what eases the friction is some level of comfort with the group. That's, I think, what we say, right? So I realized that is exceptionally critical. Like, you can feel unhappy about not having a fancy car, or like, there are 10 reasons I can tell you right now. If I want to stay unhappy, I can. But I think over time I've realized happiness is a choice. And I genuinely want to be happy. And I think my only objective function right now is to be happy. There are many times I question what am I doing, because suddenly, like, from being this high flying fancy consultant, you're suddenly like doing like a very basic job to just understand the business.
Let me understand this. You spent a lot of time to build a business which was just entering, right? Which was not there yet, which has not, so to say, arrived.
Yep.
And you helped building that business. You were integral part of that. When you leave such a company, how do you deal with that? I mean, what are the kind of things that you actually tell yourself? Or is there questioning that happens, that whether I should leave it or not, whether I should go away from this, what I have built, or should I just continue doing what I was doing and grow it?
Yeah, I think by now you would have seen one freak trend, right? I'm exceptionally emotional. I think over time I've tried to become a little better with it. So unfortunately it was not such a thought through decision. Like, if I have to go back, possibly I should have thought through a bit more. Maybe outcome would have been different, I don't know. So again, it was possibly there were things boiling, but it was a spur of the moment decision for me again. I've always believed one thing in my life, right? It's not about work or personal life. मजा नहीं आ रहा है तो निकलना चाहिए. Like, whether it is friend, family, kahi bhi. Like, there's no point. Like, at the end of the day, you're going to live maybe sensibly 40-50 years, right? Like, I think in that period, how much compromise do you want to make? Especially if you've been fortunate. See, many of us in this room are exceptionally fortunate, right? We are not in this room struggling to meet daily meal or like put a roof under our roof. वो सब fight नहीं है life में. So if you've gotten lucky and if you're fortunate, then पूरा life खेलना चाहिए. Like, you should not then compromise just because you are like worried about 20 things. So I was like, ठीक है, like पहुंच गए तो चलो थोड़ा सा risk ले लेते हैं. And then, so it was a little bit spur of the moment. I think I should have also handled it a little better. I think I was also not emotionally mature, to be very honest, by that time, right? Because you can see, right, 3 years of this craziness of growth just put so much pressure on you. I don't think I was also like growing with the business or took time out to understand what I did 2 years back will not work today. Because when a team size is at an X number to a Y number, you can't be the same person. So I don't honestly also think I was doing a good job, to be very candid. I think it was also like a mixed bag of things, right? So I think a lot of things came together, and I think, so when I left it, I think I was left in confusion, saying, yaar, what do I need to do differently or better? Because this is not sustainable. Because I used to work like a crazy person, like 24/7, like very short-tempered, reasonably opinionated. Like, so all of the things I learned somewhere went off the rack during that time.
Was it affecting your personal life as well?
Thankfully, my wife is exceptionally hardcore, so she keeps me grounded. So I don't think I spent enough time with my kids, to be candid. I think, except that, I don't think personal life, I was just a little bit stressed out all the time. I think the only thing she used to say, you're stressed out all the time, like, this is not healthy. Like, you should have fun doing what you're doing. So I think that's the reset I think I did, because I think maybe for 1.5, 2 years I was having a lot of fun, but once it started to become big, I did take, I think, a lot of pressure. It gets to you, I think, somewhere or the other, and then you almost feel you're the one-man army, which is the wrong place to be in. When you get into that zone, you should have realized that's not a good zone, right? Anything big only happens if you have great people around. So I think quite a few things went wrong And I think good part was I didn't jump into anything immediately. I actually took like a 3-4 month break. I said, "Pehle chill marte hain life mein thoda sa." So I think that's the place. I think I was like, I haven't thought about it deeply. I need time to think because, and that 3 years felt like 10 to be honest. Lot of this hair was lost during that time. I used to look a lot younger. So that's the time I was like, yeah, thoda sa time chahiye, like just to get myself back to the zone and also be clear what I want to do next. Because it's like breakup, right? Once you break up, you don't rebound immediately. You'll do the same mistake. you want to take a bit of time and think what went wrong or how I should be better. I also blamed the world for a lot of it. I think it took time for me to realize you have to realize everything is your problem in life, right? Like if you keep externalizing, then you can keep living your whole life thinking somebody else fucked me up. Sorry, pardon my French. But at some point you have to like, yeah, say this is my life and I have to fix this. So I think again, same solution every time. Go to a few people and ask them saying, what do I need to do here? That's how it started. And in fact, good part is the same people I have been talking 20 years back are the same people I still talk today. I think that friendship just goes a long way, right? They understand you deeply. They don't judge you for who you are. And some of them are also like 10-15 years older than me. So they are a little bit more mature in life to say, yaar, ye sab theek hai, matlab aage badhte hain. Because I felt almost like this is my personal thing and how can I walk out of it, right? But then you soon realize that everything in life comes to an end. So you have to move on.
By this time, आपको startup का चस्का लग गया था.
Yeah.
And you were figuring out what startup to join next. And I think you told me that you looked at around 30-40 startups.
Yeah.
To decide which one you want to pick for the next one, right? Why did you pick Urban Company specifically?
I mean, there are only 2 reasons. There are not like complicated reasons. Again, I think one of the things I realized is startup is a lot of drama, which means it's this high emotion, right? Because when things move this fast, friction is bound to happen. And so if there is lots of friction, what eases the friction is some level of comfort with the group. That's I think what we say, right? So I realized that is exceptionally critical because I want to find a place where I'm very comfortable. Not because they're all similar to me, but culturally I think we are all of a similar nature and we will get along. So I think that for me was like the main first condition in terms of saying, let's find a place where I will fit. Second was more the usual, like yaar, dhanda sahi hona chahiye. Like I think all of us get. So that's I think the 2 things. You see, I think honestly speaking, exceptionally grounded folks, very humble. I think what we try doing is make a regular person make a little bit more money, right? That keeps you grounded. Every day we meet plumber, carpenter, electrician, beautician who are making like say 15,000 rupees before Urban Company and make 30,000. Suddenly that keeps you grounded in life. Because if you are cribbing about your life and you watch her leave her 3-year-old kid every day, take a scooty and do 3 jobs in this heat and make 35,000 rupees a month, you have no right to crib. I think it keeps you very grounded. And I think that's one of the reasons I like these real businesses. And I realized that place, because of what we do, keeps everybody grounded.
Is it because you said that you are a capitalist but with a social bent of mind that you joined Urban Company?
100%. No, I do have a very strong socialist mind. Saying what you do, it's not about like being philanthropic or anything. Like it's what I like doing. It's no judgment, right? Like we should do what we enjoy doing. I like to see people get slightly better because of what you did. Like today I see either a Zomato t-shirt on the road or a Urban Company t-shirt on the road, I feel happy. It's as simple as that. I can't explain to you why I feel happy. But every time I see one of those t-shirts on someone else, it makes me feel very happy. That I think is a great simple way to be happy.
Tell me a few stories that have stayed with you. You know, it's not just about building business. It's about building lives also.
Yeah.
Right? And you must have gone through some of these stories in your life, both in Zomato or in Urban Company. If you can share.
Yeah, I mean, these are regular. I mean, to be honest, right? This is the real people, right? We are all, I think, the top 5% of this country who's not
Very
the mainstream.
privileged.
That's exceptionally privileged. I think we need to reasonably recognize it, because sometimes we say in the name of merit and all of these things, we make it very easy, like saying how they've not got the same marks and things like that. I mean, they never had the opportunity. So I think you need to have that humility. A couple of examples, right? Like this story stuck with me forever. 3 months into Urban Company, I was running the beauty business at that point in time. There's this lady called Ruth who I met in Bangalore. She had a son who was maybe like 5 or 6. He was speech impaired, and so he needed like someone to take care of him through the day. She'd actually, thanks to like doing her own business now with Urban Company, been capable of actually running the household, and her husband actually stays back. The good part, the reason that conversation stuck in my head always is, she was so happy. She was exceptionally happy. Like she was not at all cribbing about anything. She was like, हाँ मैंने ये fight मारा life में, उसके बाद एक salon खोला that I had to shut because of this. Last 2 years I'm working for Urban Company, I'm making all of this money, I'm doing this for my son and all of that. She was making maybe like 40,000-50,000 a month. Those are the things which keeps grounding you, because there are many reasons to keep ourselves unhappy through the day. Like you can feel unhappy about not having a fancy car, or like there are 10 reasons I can tell you right now. If I want to stay unhappy, I can. But I think over time I've realized happiness is a choice, and I genuinely want to be happy, and I think my only objective function right now is to be happy. And I've realized like doing certain things makes me happy, and I have stuck to then doing those same things because it keeps me happy. That's why the story like Ruth and all of this just keeps you grounded to say it is not very difficult to stay happy. You can find lots of reasons to be unhappy, but it's okay.
Right. Let's come back to Urban Company now. The company itself fascinates me a little bit, because I've heard there is always a substitute for a company that you're running. So if there is Zomato, there is Swiggy. If there is Ola, there is Uber. If there is Urban Company, I can't think of any other name, right? Why do you think that has happened? How do you think that has happened? And how did you guys make sure that it happens?
I don't think we made sure any of it. I think in life, a lot of things just happen, and then you can, I think in hindsight, you can explain a lot. So this is one of those hindsight explanations. I don't think it was forethought. So first, I don't think we are the only one. There are lots of separate ones. We compete with a lot of different folks, right? So like the beauty business competes with every salon which is offline. So it's not like we don't have competition. It's just it looks different. Same thing with when it comes to say any of our appliances. We compete with all the OEMs who do the service. So what we realized in that business is there are these lots of individual providers who are trying to compete with brands which are also reasonably medium scale. And can you bring all of these individual folks together and give them a brand and like training and things like that, so that actually they can compete with any of them easily. So what we are actually helping is training a regular technician who's not like maybe qualified to work for one of the large OEMs for an AC service to actually have a brand and go compete. And that's why it's been easy journey for us relatively to scale, because we've just made they were already there, they were fighting hard. Now we've trained them, made their lives better, made pricing better and all of that, so that they're able to compete with anybody else who has a brand.
But Urban Company is not just a learning platform.
No, of course not. I think people don't understand the amount of effort we do in training. So just to put it in perspective, our company maybe we're 1,000 plus employees today, maybe 1,200, 300 plus. 300 of these are full-time trainers, meaning they are like they are actually teachers who teach. So these are not like people like you and me, right? These are people who spent 15 years learning to be a carpenter or 15 years being an AC technician and things like that. These are actual teachers. We have, I think, 200 plus training rooms in this country. Our real estate bill alone for training is crazy. So we do the hard work. So it's not we realized very quickly if you're just a platform just connecting customer to partner, it doesn't make a difference, right? Like, तो फिर आप Just Dial चले जाओगे या Google से number निकल जाओगे. The point was all these small people didn't know how to do their job well. And also, think about it, if you're every day getting one job and you don't know when is your next job, I will fleece you, right? Fleece means I will come, I mean, it's the lemon problem, right? If I come to your house, I will find the best way to take as much money and leave. Because you don't know anything about how to repair an AC, and I will say, ये सब change करना है, आप पैसे दे दीजिए, मैं निकल जाता हूँ. So how do you make this person actually want to be honest, want to do the right thing for the consumer? Because he's not going to meet the same consumer for the next 5 years. Because now he knows that rating matters, and the next house is going to hire him for this rating. I think there's a tendency to do the job right. So we do a lot of training. We do a fair amount of work to make sure people understand why quality is important. And then we also support them a lot. I mean, not just training, right? There are loans, kits, there are like 10 things we need to do, make sure that a person at that background is able to perform. And put this in perspective. You are a 23-year-old girl who's come from, say, his town. I forgot the name again.
Jamtara.
Jamtara. There are many of them, right? They have come to say Gurgaon because one of their aunt is working here in a salon. That's how she starts her life. She spends maybe first 7 months working there for 2,000 rupees, 3,000 rupees a month. 2,000, 3,000 rupees. That's the reality. Many of you might be blowing that up tonight. That's what she would make in a month. And that's how she learns, right? There's no like formal education in this country for people who's unfortunately from those backgrounds, right? So that's how she starts her life. Now maybe she spent 2-3 years, she's now in a parlor, saloni parlor, where she makes say maybe 10,000 rupees a month. That's the person now you have to make comfortable to walk into every consumer's house. That's not straightforward, right? Because she's maybe 25-year-old, like very little background in life, most likely has a smartphone but no bank account, no money, none of it. So we start the whole 9 yards. We'll try helping you get a bank account. We'll do a 2-week training, 3-week training to get you comfortable. We'll get you a uniform and all the kit. We'll give you a loan for 40,000 rupees to buy the kit and then get you comfortable to go into that house.
How do you ensure safety?
So fair amount of work there also. Like one is the protocol. So like how do you handle the customers? Their timings are very different. There is an OTP exchange at the time of booking only for this reason, so that the customer also knows we know. And then there are SOS lines for both the sides as well, especially because I would assume we are one of the India's largest employers of women workforce. We have like I think 10,000 women amongst our 40,000. My numbers might be off a little bit here and there, but so we do take those seriously. But that's the reality, right? It's easy to say tech platform bana dete hai for all of these people. The reality is that Smriti, who's 25 from your city, who's had 3 years of experience, has no confidence in life because till now she's only been scammed. Anybody who tells her, "Mereko 5,000 de do, mereko acha naukri mil jayega," I've always scammed her. Now suddenly you have to tell her, "Yaar, you're going to take a 40,000 rupee loan and you're going to take 3 weeks of your life, come do training, and you have to travel every day to stranger's house to go deliver a service." Yes, you will make 2 times to 3 times the money, but you have to go through all this pain. That is, I think, the tougher part, which is how do you convince them, get them comfortable, put the training, the effort, and make every part of this problem solve for them so that they're confident walking into the door of a consumer's house.
Can you tell me at least one story of such experience that you have had with one of these people who you found convincing very difficult because of anything?
No. Even today we find it difficult to convince many people. I mean, they're very simple things, right? Both, especially for women, there is a reasonable stigma even in the family today to tell them that they will go from house to house, right? There is just the stigma saying what will happen, not just safety, right? They don't feel possibly independent and things like that. I mean, there are women who we have tried, I mean, I think I'll keep the name out. This lady actually was abused by her husband. And she couldn't do much. I mean, that's the reality, right? I mean, if you're at that strata of the society, unfortunately. Thankfully, then she took this hard step of like leaving him, going to her father's place, and then she joined us after a lot of convincing. And then today she like is completely independent. I mean, she drives a scooty, she has a house in like old Gurgaon, and she has her own life. I think those are the stories which I think keeps at least me and a lot of us interested in what we do. Of course, there are always problems and there are always issues to solve, but you know that end of the day, at least some of them are happy because of you.
Let's get back to Jamtada.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I come from a tier 3 city, right? And when I look for a plumber, I don't get an up and company. Neither Google tells me that, you know, there is a plumber whose service you can take. Why is urban company then not moving to tier 2, tier 3 cities?
We are slowly changing that. We were only in maybe 10 cities till 2 years back. Because as we said, right, this is a very slightly operationally intensive business. You have to put training center, you have to learn, do all of these. So I think one of the things, I think credit to the founders is, it's a reasonably methodical company. It's not like paise jalao, let's see where it goes. Because we realized if we have to keep growing.
But VC funding to hai na?
Of course. See, that's like any company needs funding, right? वो बाप का पैसा है या VC का पैसा है? Like at the end of the day, पैसे तो चाहिए सबको start करने में. आपको refrigerator बनाने में तो पैसे चाहिए. Like that, at the end of the day, money is needed, right? It's all investment. I think it's about who wants to put that risk. So coming back to it, so we were in 10 cities. We are now in 50 cities. Thanks to like slowly getting to understand how do you handle a small city, like very small city. How do you put a training center and run it economically viable is what I think we're learning. Hopefully in the next 2-3 years we'll be in 100 odd cities. I think what has surprised us is tier 2 India loves us more than tier 1 India. really, right? The truth is this. I mean, if you have to
For
get
obvious reasons, yes.
No, it didn't strike us before. I mean, all of this in hindsight makes sense, right? I mean, if you have to, I mean, for men in this room who don't understand, like waxing is a big deal for women. And that runs our business quite a bit, right? And if you have to get a Rika wax in, say, Nagpur, you can't. Like today, we've suddenly taken it everywhere. Same thing, if you have to do an AC jet spray in some of the small towns, it was not possible. Now, suddenly, we have taken whatever is available in Gurgaon Phase 2 to every city in India. And I didn't think we understood the value of that, I think, early on, because we assumed, yaar, chote city mein to they will have contacts. Would they actually use a platform? Because the assumption is, हाँ, सबके पास एक रामू है और एक चाचा है, and they will come in and solve all problems. But it looks like the same, right? Everybody is migrated out of these cities.
Right.
They don't have. So I think it's working well. So we are, as we speak, expanding quite a bit.
What are your plans? You are the Chief Business Officer. You're looking for global operations also, or in India?
No, I focus mainly on India.
India.
Urban company, of course, we are in many parts of the world. We started with Middle East, which is almost India, and then we are in Singapore as well as in Australia. So we are slowly getting international, but of course, baby steps, because as we realized, right, we want to do this in a more deep way, so that actually you make a difference. It's also dhanda business, right? Finally, if the consumer doesn't like the experience, he or she is not going to come back to us. So there's no point like trying to grow this very fast. You are better off doing it with the right experience. So my job is to do India. Sorry.
Yeah. No. So this actually germinated a question in my head. You're not just dealing with the customers. You're also dealing with the people who you're onboarding, right?
No, main business is actually that.
Correct. And you have a responsibility towards both.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you deal with the criticism? Like there is a lot of bad mouthing that happens because of online reviews. There is a lot of bad mouthing happening from employees also sometimes, right? Because they're not happy with the compensations that they're getting or anything that has gone wrong. How do you handle for that?
I mean, we have today almost 40,000 partners in this country, right? So there will be real problems, and it's sometimes our mistakes also, right? I mean, you run such a large system, there will always be pockets of issues. I think over time we have matured. Initially it was driven more by fear, to be honest, right? Like kuch bhi PR mein aa gaya tha, you're always scared. I mean, it's very easy to write a tweet, unfortunately. It also helps you. Everything cuts you both ways, right? I mean, that is what has helped us spread fast also. So we should not speak bad about things which has helped
Twitter
us.
Twitter is free marketing also.
It is, right? I mean, if we didn't have a smartphone and we wouldn't be here today speaking. So I think it has helped us. So of course there are downsides to it, which is it does make criticism very loud at times and it can reach peaks. So I think over time we've also realized how to live with the criticism, because you can't make everybody happy. You have to also be humble to realize many times you will be at fault. It's good to realize that also, right? Like if there is somebody pissed at you, there is some underlying reason. Yes, can it be exaggerated? Possibly. Can somebody use that to make it bigger? Possibly. But there is some kernel of truth always in life. I think if you can see through the anger and see through the issue and actually say, okay, what is there for me to learn from this and get better? I think it's fine. And then people also realize, ye log sahi hai. Of course, they'll all, I mean, it's like your wife, she's never going to be perfectly happy with you. But I think we are not trying for perfection here. We are just trying for a certain degree of comfort. वो मिल जाती है. I think that's one other learning, right? Like business is not so complicated. I think it is not complicated math or any of it, right? If you are able to basically understand how am I making that other person's life better, because if I am able to make that person's life better, I'm of course going to take a cut. They are also very happy, right? If their life gets better and they are going to give me a commission out of it, so that's fine. So you do that, and if they are unhappy at some point in time, go fix it. So in fact, one of the numbers we are exceptionally paranoid, what we call is NPS. Some fancy term, I'm sure many of you have not. But the simple question it asks is, will you recommend your friend this company at any level, whether it's a consumer, whether it's the employee, or whether it's a partner? It's the same thing from before. Right? I ask my friend every time I change my job. So it's just asking that person, saying, yeah, will you recommend this brand to a friend of yours? And we fight hard to keep this number very high. So what the number does is basically a scale of 1 to 10. 9 and 10 I think is a promoter, and 8 to 6 possibly is passive, and 5 and below means I hate you. And it's the people who love you minus who hate you is the number. As simple as that. And we try hard to keep it at least 50%, which takes a ton of fight. So we've also made this a number, which is what is my employee's NPS, what's my partner's NPS, which is all the 40,000 people, and what's my consumer NPS. In pockets, there will be problem. But this at least makes it now a little bit easy to kind of diagnose what's going on. It's almost like a doctor. Now at least thankfully एक easy chart चलता रहता है कि यार यहाँ fight है, चलो let's go understand what is going wrong.
Are you scared of competition?
No. You're a sportsman. You thrive in competition. In fact, I like having competition. Like that's when the best out of you comes, right? I mean, yes, of course, philosophically you can say, you want to be the best version of yourself, but you push the bar a little bit when there is someone next to you, right? I mean, I've been a runner all my life. In fact, tomorrow morning I'm going to be running a half marathon. I mean, of course, I will run to beat my time, but I will also run faster if I know one of my friends is behind me catching up, right? So both ways. So yes, you want to be perfect, but it's also good to like have someone like थोड़ा सा कीड़ा चाहिए.
Superb. So along with Kida, what is that $1 million skill that students, that people, that professionals should work towards having in their lives today so that they can be on the right track?
I'd say just two things, right? Like skills and all is fine. I think one is do what you enjoy. Like it sounds very cliched, right? But every job is tough. Like nothing is easy. Like people make it sound easy. Nothing is easy. I mean, I have slogged my ass the last 20 years. Like it's not like I have just done two things and I was smart and I figured this out. No. Even today after this, I was just telling Paul, I'm going to office for 2-3 hours because we're not able to figure something out. So it's not like even today I feel confident or comfortable or I have answers to our problems. I am equally clueless, equally uncomfortable, but at least I have the confidence to say, चलो बैठते हैं, आंसर मिल जाएगा. So if it is going to be this difficult and this tough always, and in fact as you get senior, it's only going to get difficult, right? Because the easy things are done. Now all the things you're going to do are tough and will take long time to show results. So it takes enormous amount of patience and grit to stick the course. If you have to do all of that and you don't love your job, it is going to kill you. Simple as that. Then you will say burnout and all these fancy words this new generation uses. Or work-life balance and all that bullshit. Like there is no work-life balance, guys. That's the simple truth. When I say there's no work-life balance, I'm not saying work 24 hours. I in fact have reasonable downtime. I'm going for a run, I was just saying. But there's no boundary, right? I mean, if you're going to spend 60% of your productive living hours doing something, it cannot be a job. It has to be something slightly more meaningful than that. It could be anything, whatever you like. It could be sitting here as Paul and understanding what others do and how it works, whatever floats your boat. But like do something which you enjoy, don't stick to things which you don't like. It just doesn't go anywhere. And early in life, experiment a bit. क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Like yeah, all your batchmates will be 2 years ahead of life. Does it really matter? No. So I think you should stop worrying about what's your neighbor doing and try to find something which you start enjoying. And honestly, you will not know till you do it. All that other thing is also goalie, right? Like you can't do a test and figure out what you're good at. You're going to go do it and then you realize, okay, this seems fun and I seem to enjoy it. So I would strongly recommend people don't do things you don't enjoy. Find stuff, be a bit experimentative, take a few risks. Like nothing will go wrong.
You still might have to keep your
okay.
mic on.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
there are questions that will come.
Okay, understood.
Hi Mukund, thanks a lot for the session. And I just noticed one thing, which is when you mentioned there are partners and there are employees.
Yeah.
So if I understand it correctly, it's something like Ola, Uber, where these partners are not on your payroll, right?
Yeah.
They are independent gig workers. Now, I mean, this is something I was reading up and I'll just run you by my thoughts and you can tell me what your views are. But I think increasingly, in developed markets, there's a lot of concern from these gig workers that they're not getting the dues, right? They're not getting compensation, employee benefits and stuff like that. Moreover, the problem, at least with Ola, Uber and all of these supposedly platform companies, is that the price at which the two people transact is decided by the marketplace, which as a student of finance and economics feels very weird to me. I mean, how can the marketplace decide the price at which two people transact? Is it similar at urban company or how does the pricing work? For example, let's say Zomato is a platform business, but the pricing is still decided by the restaurant. They charge a flat commission. But for urban, at least for Ola, Uber, they decide the prices along with the commissions, right? So I just feel that obviously you're helping the community, you're helping the gig workers, but you're also making your fair share. So, I mean, how does it work exactly? Is it correct, or are there any problems with the system? Is there a better way of doing it?
So I don't think it's very weird, right? I mean, since you look like you're from finance, I mean, if you go to a shop today and you have to buy a bottle of shampoo, the price is determined. Or you go to a haircut shop and you have to get a haircut, the price is determined. In fact, in any market, if the price is not determined, the transaction cannot go through, right? All this marketplace, all this is a fancy name for what we are all doing, right? At the end of the day, we're also running a dhanda. Like, so as a user, you want to know what is the right price because it depends on the commodity we are talking, right? So if you're talking butter chicken, Of course, there can be 6 types of butter chickens. That's why the price is dependent on the restaurant in this case. In this case, if I have to travel from point A to point B, it's usually determined by rupees per kilometer, which is what happens. So I would say that's a function of which industry you're talking. Rather than, I don't think it's as simple as to say some marketplaces do this and others. It's, I think, much more to do with, are you aggregating, or if I have to use fancy words. Aggregation means there are lots of players, they're all independently priced and I'm taking it as one. That could be e-commerce, for instance, right? Like I have to buy a pair of jeans, there could be like 6 people selling their jeans, it could be all different prices. Platform is, all of them don't have distinction in them. Like I have to get a haircut. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't differentiate the price dramatically, right? It's going to be the same price. So that's the reason I think some of them are price determined and independent. Many of them, I think, work the same model. To answer your original question, right, which is why is there a little bit of unrest in gig? So there are 2 perspectives to think about it. Of course, I am from that industry, so I'll of course have vested interest, so you have to take it with a pinch of salt or a pound of salt. So one is first to realize that girl Smriti we were talking before, what is that all of these companies are first trying to do? So they're first trying to take things out of unorganized to organize. That's the first step jump which happens for all of them in their lives, which is to say many of these people, even if you take their own cab driver, right, most likely none of these cab drivers own their cars, unfortunately, so they drive for someone. For the first time in their life, this has brought transparency into them and how much money they will make and when to make, and it hits their bank account. They are not standing outside a owner's house saying kya paise de do, ek mahine se mera salary nahi aaya hai. So I think the larger first step of improvement these platforms did was to take out of organized and make it a little bit organized, so that there is some degree of comfort on earning and potential and all of that. I think what is true in life is you can't be happy with what you have done once, right? Like all of us, expectations keep getting only better. It's not like if your boss tells you that I gave you an appraisal 2 years back, why are you not happy? Many of us in this room will not be happy, right? We all want life to keep getting better. So I think what's happening right now in gig is, I think people, that's why I think government and everybody understands it. They have done one level of improvement in bringing standardization and credibility to a lot of people. But you can't leave it there. Now what is the next version? Because what do all of these people then want? They want some social security. Because it's very difficult in our country, there's no like safety net in terms of either healthcare and many of these things, right? So there is, now these companies have to figure out how can you do that at a certain scale without making it unviable. So I'll give you a simple example at Urban Company. These are real examples, right? So none of our partners had accidental insurance, forget health insurance. Accidental insurance fee nahi tha. Like, so if you're an electrician and you go and you get electrocuted, you're done. It's the truth. If you're outside, that's what happens, right? What will happen? That's what happens. Now we have decided to underwrite everybody for a accidental insurance. Costs money and serious money. But the good part is, if that one person had to go buy this insurance, first koi dega nahi, and it's expensive. Thankfully, now that we have 40,000 partners, we have at least managed to get an accidental cover for all 40,000 together, but it's a reasonably nominal price. Now we are thinking how to do health insurance for all of them. So I do think all of them are trying different things, but the truth is, as he was making fun of me, we are also all funded. None of us make money right now, right? So we have to walk the tight balance right now of how do you make this viable, how do you keep making the bar better and run the dhanda. That's why it is painful. If the answer was so simple, all of us would have done it. And that's one more thing I think for all of you I would leave you with, right? A lot of us are smart. Keep an open mind and understand both sides well. I think that's the limited point I would say. I wouldn't take a side in any of these. I would just say people are trying hard, problem is tough, hopefully we'll find a better answer.
Mukund, we are open for fundraise.
So I have one question for you. Like you mentioned about the lady, the girl, you guys give training to her, her income eventually doubles or triples. But how do you ensure the safety? Is it just through the insurance? Because ultimately she has to go to the customer's house and, looking at the crime rate, especially in areas like Delhi. So how do you guys deal with the safety, especially for women?
So I think firstly, people are actually not that bad, to be candid. I think because we watch all these statistics, I think sometimes when we watch the news, we think all of us are quite bad. I think most of us are people like us. So 2-3 things, right? Safety comes from design, not by hope. I think that's the first thing, right? So what can you do for design? And these are not some new things, right? You think about airlines. It's the most unsafe thing, right? Bloody 2-ton thing flying up. Crazy shit. Like imagine 100 years back, if somebody said 2 ton ka thing will fly up and it will not fall, we'll be like, what are you talking? So it's not like we've not managed to talk safety, right? What do you do? Then fundamentally you have to say design kaisa karna hai. So that first it is safe. Second, you have to put a lot of protocols to say any small problem also comes, you raise it. So that you keep learning, so that a near miss helps you learn more than an actual miss. So there is system and then there is monitoring. So system, what do? Make sure first operating times are safer. So for instance, our men might work till 10 in the night, our women stop at 7. There are lots of pushback on us sometimes saying, oh, you are not being equal on women. We're like, yeah, chill maro. Like there is, like we have to think about safety, right? So first we start with ours. Second, we ensure that it's a woman booking a woman. We don't do cross gender. So it's very clear. So whether it's a spa or a salon service and all of it, it's only a woman who can book a woman. So then the risk kind of significantly reduces. We've also taught our women partners how to ensure it's a woman before entering her house. So if you don't see a woman, don't even enter the house. Second, then all through the design, right, there is then an OTP exchange which happens. That is to clearly tell the user that we know our partner is entering a house. Most people commit crimes outside their homes. Think about it logically, right? Because I don't want to mess up my house because people will come and then screw my happiness. So that's why if you know that, so you go through psychology. So if they know that I am there, then they are very careful. So then you do those OTP exchange to make sure that I'm inside. Then we make sure that after all of this, something shit happens. Like there could be some fight and all of that, right? So then we have SOS on both the sides. So they press an SOS button, immediately it goes to our SOS team, which is a separate team for women, and then they immediately act. So there is also rapid action with them. So they can reach a customer's house in 15-20 minutes. Worst case, it does happen once or twice a month. So then monitoring, right, as I said. So then you watch all of these closely. If there are even 1 or 2 near misses, you understand what went wrong and you keep getting better. But it's like flights, they still fall unfortunately, but they don't fall as often. That's why we don't think too hard these days flying. But I would take that as an example.
Hi Mukund. First of all, thank you for being here. Like your energy is amazing to be honest. My question is like when you went for MBA, now when we choose like talk about GMAT, it is the worst option when you go and spend way too much and then you come back here, earn less than you spend over there. So kind of do you not regret that decision? Because we kind of find that to be the last priority, to spend way too much than to earn. So
yeah, one rule in life is I regret no choices. But I think today, I was just telling Paul, today I think overall if somebody is telling me that they want to do an MBA, I will be exceptionally skeptical. Forget an international MBA. Does international experience still make sense? Yes. So if you want to go do a 1 year in Singapore with the company, I would highly recommend that over doing an MBA. You have to also see how times have changed, right? So in my time, to switch careers used to be a pain in the ass. There were no startups which could do a coffee chat and hire you. You have to like write a resume and then the HR person would see whether you have an MBA, and like there are roles where you couldn't even apply. So there was a time and place where some of that was necessary. I don't think today, honestly, it is necessary. I think everybody has realized that capability is more important than credentials. And so honestly, spending so much money, I should do it today, to be candid. And if I had that kind of money disposable, I would ask you to go do something of your own, actually to learn in that 1 year, even run a shop. To be candid, I'm not even asking you to do some fancy thing. Running an ice cream shop for 1 year will teach you more than anything else. Like my wife runs a restaurant right now, I was just telling Paul. She knows more about business than me today because she has to meet payroll every month. So she knows every bit of detail on how to run her restaurant because like it's a real business, right? It's not some hypothetical thing. So I would really do something, and I think this is where internationally people you go, this is very comfortable. There, in fact, people will take a year out and go and work for one of these places. Here, I think it's not yet become common. I would highly recommend you to do some of these non-conventional things, but that's what teaches you to run a business, not sitting in a classroom.
Thank you very much to all of you. A big round of applause for yourself. Very you have been a fantastic audience. And the kind of questions that you have brought in, the kind of insights that you are going to go home with, I hope that it was helpful for all of you guys, and you're going to keep some of these, as Mukund was also mentioning, at least 2 points of these going back home, and that is going to help you in the choices that you make in your careers. Thank you again very much.
We'll see you very soon with another edition of Conversations Cafe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.